Hello, my name is Bree, and welcome to Seriously, Bud, a podcast featuring an unexpected conversation with someone in the WordPress community. And now it's time for my dad, Bud Kraus.
Thank you, Bree. You know, I had so much fun last time speaking with Hans Skillrude. I thought I'd do this all over again. Now, I'll be back at the end to give you my thoughts about this week's episode. It's number 32, so here we go.
Taco Verdonschot, welcome to Seriously, Bud. Now, I know I got your last name wrong, so let's just get that out of the way. How do you say it?
Yeah, so the Dutch pronunciation would be Verdonschot. Slim chance anyone who doesn't speak Dutch is going to get that right easily.
Yeah, it's not an easy language to learn, is that right? Well, you know it.
My 4-year-old can do it, so, you know. But no, it's not the easiest language to learn.
Okay, so why do you think you are privileged? And now that you know that you're a privileged person, that's what you told me in your intake survey. What are you going to do with that knowledge?
Yeah, why do I think I'm privileged? Well, I'm from Western Europe, a man, happily married. I have 2 kids. I had the opportunity to go to school, go to college, go to university. I have a job that makes me very happy. I live in probably the safest part of the world when it comes to both nature and political stability. So how am I not privileged?
You are. I'll be right over. Wow, there's a lot there to unpack. So let's start with school. Where'd you go to school?
So I went to a high school called Stedelijk Gymnasium, which is very hard to translate to English, but spent 7 amazing years of my life there. It was supposed to be 6, but I did the last year twice, because they like me so much.
Super year. And what about college? Where'd you go and what did you study?
Yeah, so the system is slightly different in the Netherlands than it is in the US. So after high school, we go to university or to a different level. But I went to university, studied AI.
Did you really? This was, and when, last week?
This is like back in the day. So back in 2005, I started, and it wasn't popular then. So we had 30 people who started in my year, and probably had I finished my bachelor's, I would be a rich person right now, being at the forefront of AI. But after a couple of years trying, maths proved to be way too hard for me. So I dropped out.
And then what did you study, or where did you go after college?
I had to make a decision. What do I want to do next? And I decided to work and do a part-time studies computer science next to it. And I started working at a local telecom company. That was the first one in the Netherlands to offer fiber optic internet connections, fiber to the home. Started in the local store, which basically, sales point in the beautiful town of Wijchen, and moved my way up the ranks to the call center and ended up as a trainer in the call center for the company. In the meantime, I worked on my part-time studies, computer science, so a little bit of programming and some network stuff that I learned. And then my job moved because the branch where I was working in Wijchen got shut down, and I had to travel to headquarters every day, which is on the opposite side of the country. That sounds really far away for a lot of people, but it's the Netherlands, so it's about 2 hours by train. It's significant, but I mean, could be worse. I did that for quite a while and then found a job from this little company. It was advertised on Twitter, something with WordPress. They did something with SEO, never heard of that, but they were looking for a developer, said hire for talent and attitude, train for skill. Well, I knew I had no skill whatsoever, so that was a good fit. Attitude, I know would be fine. And talent, I don't know. I decided to let them be the judge of that.
Yeah, and I have a feeling this little company that you talk about is Yoast, which we will get back to in a little bit. I have to ask you about your parents.
Of course.
I'm going to guess one or both are engineers.
Neither of them is. So my dad's been in finance for most of his life. And my mom studied theology, and she always worked with nuns, basically. Yeah, no engineering background whatsoever.
which is a little unusual in the sense that a lot of WordPress people, one or both parents, have some kind of engineering background. A lot of times I ask, how did your parents meet? In your case, I want to know how you met your spouse. And was it love at first sight? What was that all about?
So that's actually a funny story.
Funny stories are allowed here. Okay, I'm just saying.
So how did I meet my wife? Well, I was working at the call center in Hoofddorp on the opposite side of the country. And one of my then colleagues told me that her former sister-in-law was going to join. And she shared a Facebook page, and I saw a picture of this magnificent, beautiful girl who was about to join the company. And I basically fell in love with that photo on Facebook, even before meeting her. The downside is that usually I'm quite talkative. I like to talk to a lot of people.
Yes, you do.
Whenever she was around, I would be quiet, except that I was handling second line support at that time, and she joined in the first line. So every now and then she had to call second line to discuss something or to get permission to do something, to escalate a case. And I'd figured out how our internal system worked. So I could see from the queue when I would get her on the phone, even if there were multiple people in first line waiting to talk to the second line. I was able to pick that out from our system. So we talked a lot, but only about work stuff and customer cases and whatsoever, until my colleague who introduced my wife to the company, now wife, not at the time, she said, like, I'm so done with this, because she knew that I liked her a lot.
What's her name?
My wife's called Faye. And so she made this meeting between Faye and me happen during one of our breaks that quickly turned into us seeing each other outside of work. And now we're happily married for 6.5 years.
How long was it from the time you saw her to the time you got married?
About 6 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's some time in between. It took some time for us to start living together. We had our first child first and then decided to get married.
Now, when you first met her, though, you already knew what she was going to look like. But were you like nervous or anxious or?
Oh, seriously, but I was so nervous. Yeah, I was so nervous.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. And now what was she? Did she say, she said that, I'm sure she's told you how she felt.
Well, yeah, at first she wasn't really interested.
How could that be, Taco? You are so magnetic. I mean, everybody just gravitates to you, but she just said, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. No, she wasn't really looking at the time. And I was eventually able to convince her that I'm actually a pretty nice guy.
That took a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. And now you have 2 kids, right? How old are the kids?
So the youngest is 4 and the oldest just turned 8.
They boys,
both
girls?
Yeah.
So the 8-year-old, I'm getting my years confused here. Was she born before you were married?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. I'm on the ball here. Okay. She was born before you're married.
Yep.
So she went to your wedding.
She was the one to bring the rings. Yeah, she was just old enough to be able to walk steadily enough with a pillow with 2 rings on it.
How about that? And of course, she doesn't quite know it too, what's going on, but that was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. It was also really scary for her because there were a lot of people watching and she had to
I know,
get out there. So yeah.
I know what that's like. And so you said the other one is a girl too, right? You have 2 girls? Okay. Yep. Now, there's 4 years apart, so I don't know. Do they get along, play with each other?
It's magnificent. They
really?
play together a lot. They get along really, really well and will definitely take care of each other, even against my wife and me. So they're a team. And it's fantastic to see that.
And they still love you. Just wait a couple more years and that'll be a different story.
I'm pretty sure this is never going to change. No, they'll always love me. They won't hit puberty at all. That's never going to happen.
You would like to keep them that way.
Yeah. And at the same time, it's really nice to see them develop into the personalities.
Sure it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can imagine it will be challenging at some point.
Now, you seem like that you're kind of athletic. Yes, I know you do. You have a trainer, right? And all that stuff. Do you still have the trainer?
Yeah, we have a gym at the office at Yoast. and one of her colleagues is a personal trainer. We're in a super luxury position that we have personal training a lot.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's so important. And so you're athletic or you do sports?
Yeah, I do a few things. So in the gym here, it's mostly powerlifting. That's something our personal trainer introduced, and I started liking that a lot. And outside of the gym, I'm into motor trials.
What's this?
So the not so nice description is ballet on a motorcycle, but it's instead of, everyone knows motocross, right? Where you have to go fast and off-road and all of that. Motor trials is not about speed, but it's about balance and control. So riding difficult obstacles with a motorcycle that's specifically prepped for that purpose. So you don't have a saddle, you don't have lights, nothing you don't need, but it's all about how do I cross, what we call a non-stop, which is basically a section that you have to ride without putting your feet on the ground. Yeah, the best way possible.
Yeah. So I'm leading you to the question. I'm getting there. What was the last thing you did for the first time?
Ooh.
Everybody always says, ooh, when I ask that question. It's the predictable answer.
Well, one of the more special things I did for the first time is swim in the Amsterdam canals. There's an annual fundraiser to raise money for research into motor neuron disease, ALS. And what they do is organize a swim of about 2 kilometers, just over a mile, in the Amsterdam canals. And my manager and I decided to join that swim.
I know that you do a lot of volunteer work. When did that start? Why did that start? What's that all about? And you do this as part of the work that you do for Yoast and outside of Yoast. Am I right about that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When did that start? Probably around 6, 7, 8 years old, because my parents would do collections for charities, so go door to door to raise funds. And I joined them. Ever since, I've been doing that for a couple of charities, mostly focused on the Dutch Burns Foundation for a very long time. And I was part of a sports club where it was natural that you would also do some shifts. I got my license as a first aid provider and started doing that at festivals, in clubs, etc., at sports events. I've been organizing a computer event since 2002, and we still go on. So we do that annually nowadays. Volunteering has always been a part of my life outside of school and work.
Yeah. Now, you say first aid. Are you a, licensed first responder, or are you a first responder? How does that work?
So I think this is pretty typical to the Netherlands, but there's sort of an in-between level where you're not like on an ambulance or what have you, but you're trained in sort of basic first aid. So if something happens on the street, you're able to help. And I took that to the next level to be responsible at events. And it's basically the simple injuries that you take care of, but also resuscitation if needed.
That's pretty interesting. Now, in the back of my mind, I want to ask you about your work, but that's not what Seriously Bud is all about, but we will get to that.
Work is, for me, very much intertwined with life, though.
I know it is. I know. And me too. And it's like, I heard a really great thing on the radio this morning, which is, if you love, and this is an old saying, if you put what you expect out of me, if you love what you do, then you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
It's true.
Or if you turn your hobby into work, you don't have a hobby anymore.
Sure. That's very true, too. Yes, I've heard
that. It can go
both
both ways. The interesting thing is, I joined Yoast not knowing about WordPress and the WordPress community.
Now, hold on. Wait, we're not there yet. Okay. WordPress is a content management system used to create websites. It's very popular, and it powers about 43% of all the websites on the internet, so they say. Now, Yoast is a plugin that is an extension to WordPress, which allows people to do SEO, search engine optimization, for their website. And it's the most well-known plugin of its kind. And I will also say it is known for its commitment to the WordPress community and all that it does to foster an understanding amongst the people that work in WordPress, how to collaborate and communicate and dedicate themselves to a collective project. I happen to love it from the standpoint of what you guys do in terms of the Yoast Diversity Fund that Sama runs, I guess, and the Yoast, what was the other one? The Care
Fund.
Care Fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, I don't use the plugin, but I am a huge supporter of what Yoast, the company, does in terms of building WordPress community. All right, now what do you do?
The least possible.
Well, that's obvious.
Yeah. So I'm the head of relations at Yoast and responsible for the support team and for the community team. So yeah, I hate to say this, maybe a little bit of the face of Yoast in the WordPress community.
Yeah. Oh no, there's no question.
So yeah, that's what I do. And then a lot of little things, because I've been with the company for a while and I have a memory for stupid little details. Yeah, I help out a lot in making decisions and remembering why things are the way they are in the company.
Well, you've been there a long time.
Yeah, just over 11 years.
How old is the company? It's like
14 years this year.
It has had an amazing journey.
Yeah.
And I know I don't know how many people work at Yoast now.
Just north of 135, I think.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Amazing. Now, the other thing that kind of surprised me is you guys have an office. You mean you have to go to office to...
Not everyone does, but yes, we have actually several offices. So there's 4 buildings. They're all within a minute's walk from each other. But that's because there's not a single building large enough to house all of us in Wiegen. We're just a small town. Pre-COVID, yes, everyone would work from the office every day.
Oh, pre-COVID, yes. And during
COVID, we were all forced to work from home. Now, post-COVID, it's a mix. I prefer to work from the office every day of the week.
Well, because you're a people guy, okay?
Yes.
You're just so connected to people. Yeah. Of course you want to work. I mean, I'm saying this like as if everybody knows you. And of course, everybody does know you.
Not yet.
Who doesn't know you, for God's sake? All right. Now you say you're a community manager or something like that. Right?
Yeah, head of relations, but leading the
head of relations. That's
team.
Right. Well, tell me what that person does. What do you do? I know that you show up at these WordCamps, which are WordPress conferences, things like that. But
so that's a significant part. Yeah. Showing up, showing my face, not just at events, but also online. I'm involved with the community team of WordPress, which is halfway between volunteering and being paid by Yoast to do that. So I'm mentoring WordCamps, for example, but I'm also organizing together with my community team, organizing the presence of Yoast at conferences. So, for example, soon, now we're recording, I can say tomorrow probably, but when it's airing, it was in the past. But we're going to Brighton SEO. We'll have a booth there. And yeah, so my team takes care together with other teams within Yoast of the entire presence of Yoast at such events.
How much do you have to stay abreast of the changes in the software and things like that? Are you really on top of that kind of thing? No.
So I started out as a support engineer at Yoast. Back in the day, it was just me doing support. And I have a little thing that I really want to know what's in there. I'm not a developer, even though I started as a developer, that didn't work out.
Right.
But I really want to be one of the power users of our own product so that I know what I'm talking about.
That's where I'm going. So you do know it inside out.
Yes.
Yeah, as I figured you might. Yeah. Well, even if you didn't, are you going to admit to it?
I would, yes. I will happily tell you what I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. I know. You're not capable of lying.
Not easily.
When you're telling me all this, here's what I'm thinking now. Let's pretend that nobody's listening to this. Maybe we don't even have to pretend. And so what happens to you down the road? You're going to be at Yoast like for 40 years? You're going to retire from Yoast?
Who knows? I mean, Yoast was acquired by Newful Digital, and that's a really, really big company. So there's a lot of opportunity there as well. I don't know. I might retire here.
Well, it is a huge company. And if you don't know, it's a company that owns Bluehost and other kinds of things. Yeah. So I'll ask one final question on this. I still think of Yoast as this standalone company because you still have your own identity, which I think is so great that it feels still not attached to any big company. Is that how you guys look at it too?
Yes and no. So there's a lot of benefits to being acquired by such a big company, which, as you said, also has Bluehost and HostGator, because we can share data and we can get insights into the usage of Yoast SEO that we couldn't before. So there's huge benefits to being part of that bigger company. are we still our own brand with our own culture and our own way of doing things? Well, yes. And I hope that remains for a very long time.
Me too, because you're sort of a signature company in the WordPress space. You are. And I would hate to see you just become, just part of the, just another company inside of Newfold, Speaking of, I don't know why I just thought of this, but I didn't ask you, what does Faye do? She works or what? What does
she has her own company. So she started her own business as an interior designer about a year and a half ago.
No, I thought you were going to say digital marketing.
No, not at all. No, interior design. So completely different. Where I like everything that has a keyboard and Wi-Fi, she is keen with colors and furniture, and she's an absolute talent in that area. If you need anyone to restyle your house, let me know. I'll happily introduce you.
I think she's kind of like far from me, but I'll keep that in mind when we move, which we will eventually. Is all her work local or global or?
Mostly local. And then local to the Netherlands, so beyond just our little town. But not global yet. Maybe you could be the first.
Oh, please. Does she work out of the home? I'm assuming she does.
Well, out of her clients' homes a lot of the time.
Oh, sure, of course. She's on location. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to say before I ask the final question? You're just a lot of fun to talk to. I don't see you all that often, and we're not in touch all that much, but you're always there. Oh,
yeah. So.
Or maybe I don't understand.
We were at WordCamp US together about
I don't remember
ago. I don't believe any of that.
Yeah. Now you say a week ago, but somebody can be listening to this a year from now.
That's true.
So just keep that in mind.
So that was in September 2024 for those who are listening in the year 3000.
Wait, for those who are listening?
Yes.
You're being very optimistic.
I'm wondering, because you always ask the questions on Seriously Bud, but now I'm wondering, what was your best takeaway from that event?
That's a good one. You're not allowed to ask me questions on my show.
I don't play by the rules. I never do.
I know. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Oh, I know what it is. Very simple. I'm breaking a little news here. Okay. This will be kind of cool. I got my first sponsor for Seriously Bud.
That's amazing.
And more news about that is coming, but it was really a shock to me because they approached me and said, we'd like to sponsor your show. And I look at them and I said, you don't even know who I am. And they said, oh, yes, we do.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thanks. More on that to follow. I'm just really thrilled that all that is underway. So that's really cool. So thank you for asking that great question. You got any more good questions to ask? No, that was really a good one.
Nice.
And what about you?
So what I really liked was the showcase day that we had for the first time at WordCamp US. And I was specifically impressed by a presentation by Human Made. They showed a website called Recipe Tin Eats, which is one of the biggest recipe websites in the world, if you look at monthly visitors. And it's run by two people and a dog, brother, sister, dog, and they run this massive recipe website.
Amazing.
And I was absolutely impressed by the story that Human Made told. So I decided to try one of their recipes, and it was really good. So
how about that? What was it?
Butter chicken.
Chicken.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to ask for the recipe, but Sama was on Seriously Bud, and she gave me a recipe that I would like my wife to make because I know she likes to cook.
Yeah. Well, this is definitely one I can recommend.
I'll keep that in mind. All right, Taco, we have come to that point in the show where I ask you, who do you recommend that I have on a future episode of Seriously Bud?
So that's not an easy question because the WordPress community has so many amazing people.
That's why I have this show.
Exactly. And you have a gazillion more episodes to go.
That's why I need a lot more runway in my life to get them all done.
Yeah. So
you know what I mean?
I think that your next person should be one of the lead organizers of WordCamp Europe next year, 2025, that is, for the people listening in the year 3000. So her name is, and no, I'm not going to mention my colleague, Laura Sacco. She's amazing too, but she's for a later episode.
Hold on. I know her, okay. Believe it or not, we know her. My wife knows her, and I know her. So there.
Yeah, but the person...
I'd love to have her on my show,
You should,
by the way.
Definitely. But the next person you should invite is Patricia Brunto. She's one of the leads for Work Computer, and I'm sure that will be a very interesting episode because she's a fantastic person and deserves the limelight.
Well, that's the whole purpose of the show, is to give people an opportunity to talk about themselves to the WordPress community in a way that they normally don't. Yeah. And I think you did a little bit of that here. And if I need you to introduce me to Patricia, you would do that.
Absolutely.
Yes?
Happily.
That's okay. So Taco, always a pleasure. Even though we're miles apart, you're just a lot of fun to talk to, as always. And I want to say right now, I really appreciate all that you do. I've never get a chance to say that. So I'll just say
thank you very much.
Okay.
Means a lot.
All right. Thank you for coming on the show.
Most welcome and happy to be here. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Hey, I didn't know that Taco once swam in the Amsterdam canals to raise money for ALS, is a weightlifter and into moto trials, and his first child was the ring bearer at his wedding. How about that? Did you? Now, if you were listening very carefully, I mentioned that Seriously Bud has a sponsor. More about OmniSend to come in future episodes. OmniSend is a leader in email marketing and SMS messaging. So until next time, thank you for your time.